One question often asked of experienced pilots is, what advice would you give to fledgling commanders starting their careers? There are worse answers than respect planets. Possibly the most treacherous of terrestrial dangers are planets with high gravity. Nothing kills inattentive explorers faster than underestimating these Goliaths of the cosmos. The heavyweight champion circuit expedition of 3303 was organised by Commander Noose and included 21 pilots. The promotional material proclaimed,
"The mission of Heavyweight Champion Circuit is to provide a challenging, competitive atmosphere. Tested our skills in some of the most difficult conditions known. Landed the largest ships under extreme gravity. Additionally, we hope this experience helps bring confidence to explorers landing on unknown worlds, and allows explorers to hone their skills landing on any planet without damage."
Several of the pilots who braved these perils have kindly agreed to share their wisdom for this article. Participants attempted to land on a number of planets, ranging from 2.11 G on Autor's VV-D D12-22, up to 9.77 G on HD 148937-3. Sometimes it took them almost an hour to land. Herein lies the first lesson. Be patient. If you feel that 10 metres above the ground is a safe altitude to use the vertical thrusters to push down towards the ground on a high G planet, you'd be wrong. At least on an exploration-oriented ship build. Low power, lightweight components. This is a very bad idea. Your correspondent attempted to use vertical thrusters from a height of 4 metres when landing on Bloe IR-W F1-1530 AB1, a recently discovered landable world with a record-breaking 10.66 G, only 34,372 light-years from Sol. The nimble Asp explorer of Zephyrum did not go boom. In fact, we reached that altitude with no hull damage, but we lost 40% of our hull integrity due to the big mistake of thrusting vertically towards the ground from 4 metres above it. A quick calculation shows that falling 4 metres under a gravity of 10.66 G means that you will hit the ground at 28.9 metres a second, equivalent to falling over 40 metres on a 1G world. That's definitely going to do major damage. Thankfully, Commander Battybat99 was kind enough to repair Zephyrum's hull. Distant Worlds 2 Emergency Dispatch, you are forever in Zephyrum's memory banks. Some pilots like turning flight assist off for the final landing approach. This is an ill-advised idea in the vicinity of higher gravity bodies. When approaching a planet for landing, set thrust to 75% and start throttling down to achieve 2.5 km a second, around 100 km from the destination. When entering glide, the throttle should be zeroed. When exiting the glide, around 10 km from the surface, fire the vertical thrusters to counter any exceeding downward velocity. Once velocity in any direction is cancelled, it's safe to pitch down 5 or 10 degrees and very slowly apply forward thrust with the intention of losing altitude in the most controlled way possible. Avoiding hilly ground is a good idea, as control will be limited and any movement unrelated to the primary goal of controlled descent will probably hinder your advance. This is the second key piece of advice. Use forward thrust and pitch to lose and gain altitude and avoid touching the vertical thrusters. The reason for this is that on high G worlds, vertical thrusters are already working hard, keeping the ship in the air automatically. The slightest touch on the downward thrust will cancel the upward thrusters, which are already at full blast. You'll plummet like a stone. It's advisable to direct power from engine to shields to better allow incremental thrust control. Our advice: keep the engine capacitor full of enough energy to quickly boost if needed. Manage pips as if you're in combat, paying lots of attention. Once landed, you might be tempted to take your surface recon vehicle, SRV, out for a spin. Commander YRS 44 landed on HD 148937-3, a 9.77 G world, about 1400 light years from the bubble, last July 22nd, 3304. They told us,
"Suffered very minor damage on impact, landing. After a sigh of relief, I decided to deploy my rover. The SRV dropped out of the bay like a ton of bricks, suffered damage on deployment. I didn't have to worry about losing surface contact. The SRV wheels stayed glued to the rocky surface as I drove around."
having made a safe landing, the next question is how to safely take off. If the gravity is not too high, a standard vertical takeoff may be possible. On more massive worlds, it's advisable to use vertical thrusters, this time with maximum power to engines to get away from the surface. Then pitch 5 degrees up and slowly bring forward thrusters up as soon as safely able to. Pay attention to the vertical speed indicator. Use it to determine if what you're doing is appropriate. If it turns red, slow down. Use the boost to slowly gain more altitude, but don't pitch up too steeply. As soon as the ship is no longer mass locked, engage your frameshift drive and wake out. It's important to note there are different techniques to landing and taking off safely. Variables such as ship size and build, piloting skills, and the gravity strength involved should decide which of those techniques are valid. Ultimately, if you can get your ship to level, it will be possible to hover. Avoid purely vertical movement, be patient, carefully control your engine power and pitch. And that's it. Go conquer some giants!